Alrighty, y'all. So today for this project, we're going to be kind of upsizing a pair of jeans and also turning them into a pair of short pants or knickers or whatever you want to call them. But what it is, you know, sizes can vary from make to make, and this is the same size I always wear. But for some reason, the booty in them is just not quite as comfortable. They fit kind of tight. I have a kind of a really round fanny. And so sometimes it just misses its mark with my pants. But anyway, I thought instead of taking them back, I would just make them into some short pants, because those are kind of hard to find. And plus, I really like this fabric here that I got from My Fabric Designs, and I'll have a link to that in the description box below if you guys want to go check it out. But I'm going to use that fabric and these pants, and I have already tried them on and made a mark where I want to cut them. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to show you how to do the next steps. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is get all of this other stuff out of the way, and I'm going to try my best to lay these pants out so that the seams are at the sides and I can cut this as neatly as possible. And it's probably not going to lay completely flat because of the side seams. What I'm going to do is go ahead and pull that other leg out over that way so it's out of the way. Okay, so now that I've got this laid out flat, and you want to make sure that other leg is not anywhere in the way, and you can see my little mark here, I'm going to go ahead and take my ruler and kind of mark across, and I'm going to come in just under that mark, because looking at it, it looks really short to me, and I don't want short shorts. I want short pants. Sorry about that light. You guys see my new lights reflecting off my ruler here. So I'm going to take my fabric chalk and I'm going to just kind of eyeballing it. I'm going to go just under that mark because I feel like it might be, you know, with me having them on and bending over and making that mark, it may have rose up a little bit. So I'm just going to go just under my mark here. So just do that just in case, because you can always take away, but you can't add, right? So when it comes to sewing, remember that. You can always take away from a garment, but you can't add to it. So you don't want to make any mistakes with that cutting. So I always cut it a little more than you, because I mean you don't want any mistakes in this. So what I'm going to do is pin just above where I'm going to make the cut. I'm going to go ahead and take these pins out. See, that's why you make the cut a little longer than you need it, because it actually kind of has a little point in it for some reason, but I will correct that when I cut the second one. And yeah, you could, I know I'm going to get that question, you could take the pieces of the leg and use them as the side piece, but I like this skull fabric, so I'm using it. Now what we want to do is we want to go to the side seam here, and I'm going to, first of all, I'm putting my hand in here because I'm not pinning this all the way to the other side. I'm going to pin this pocket down on the side right here where it's connected to the side seam, because you are going to be cutting into the pocket, but you want to keep it pinned down because you can stick yourself with a pin. You can just sew right over it and you'll still have a pocket when you're done with this step. I'm going to cut this seam completely off on both sides. Just because it's thick, it's going to get in the way of your machine, and it's not going to look good when you're attaching a different fabric to it to leave it there. So What I'm going to do is, once I've cut it, I'm just going to pin the piece together, the two pieces together where I cut it. So now I've got my pieces cut out and I've got the shorts ready to start constructing with this. So what you need to do is, everybody is different. This is for upsizing and kind of revamping a pair of shorts. So if you ask me measurements, I'm going to tell you I don't know. I'm not going to tell you my size because I'm a big girl, and I think just about any girl from small, medium to large does not like to give their size. So don't ask me for my size, and don't ask me what size I cut this to. This is self-determining. It depends on how much bigger you want to make them, how much more fabric you want to add to them, how much fabric you want to take away from them. I, as you can see, only took the seams away, but I need to add a couple of inches on each side for these to fit a little more comfortably over my big butt. So I'm going to determine my measurements, and what I will do is, I can tell you that much, that if you're adding elastic to it, you want to add the, God, those pins hurt. You want to add the length of this, however long you need this fabric, plus 3 inches. And that's just maybe a little extra because, like I say, more is better. Less is, you can't add to, you can take away. So you're going to need it for the fold down elastic, and even for the waistline. If you're not adding elastic, if you're just adding to the waistline, you're still going to need to fix that. And then you'll need a little bit down here, but I think what I'm going to do is add a bottom band, so you know that may not be as necessary. But anyway, just add the length of this plus 3 inches just to be on the safe side. While I'm cutting this, I'm going to tell you guys what I forgot to tell you. You want a fairly large seam allowance on this, just so that it'll stay in its place, and especially if you're attaching a different fabric that's more lightweight than the denim material, and this definitely is, this skull fabric that I'm using. You just want to be sure that you have at least an extra inch for the total seam allowance on both sides. So, you know, just an extra inch or so. These are my strips that I have cut. Yeah, I can get them open. Okay, now I've got these pieces. What I want to do is, I'm going to take mine to the machine and I'm going to do a tight zigzag on the top and the bottom pieces. And that is just to keep the fabric from fraying, and it's a good idea to go ahead and do that step. So I'm going to do that now, and then I'll show you the next step. So you can see on the end of each one I've done a tight zigzag, and it really makes the work look a lot better. Okay, so you can see I've got a fresh pack of elastic here, and this is the 1 inch wide elastic. So I'm going to open it up, and for mine I just need a couple of inches extra on each side. Yeah, so I'm going to do like about that much, and then I'm going to just take this one and measure the second one with the first one. And this is not very stretchy elastic, which is pretty good for this type of project anyway. I don't want it too loose. So now what I need to do is take the top end of each piece, and I'm going to make a casing for the elastic. And I'm folding it over about 1.25 inches because that quarter is going to be the seam allowance. Now what I'm going to do is take it to the machine, and on each one of these I'm just going to sew right along the edge here, and then case the elastic in it and sew it up on the ends to hold. So there you see I have my elastic sewn in the ends, the top ends of these side pieces for my shorts. Now what we need to do is put each side piece in the shorts, sew them in there, and what I'm doing is opening one at a time up And you want to start by, got to make sure I do this right. I don't want to mess it up. See, I have a lot left there, but I can always cut that off after I'm done. I don't like to do it before because I might mess something up. So, yeah. Okay, so what I'm going to do is make sure that the waistband is even where the elastic is, that it's flush. Everything's laying together there. And then I'm going to start pinning down. And see how that kind of comes to a curve? I'm just going to let it lay flat, and I'm going to sew it like that. I'm going to sew along using this as a guide, not this. Okay, so now that you got this first side sewn, you just need to unpin and do the other side of the same side, the other side of this panel. So we're not going to worry about any of the extra seam allowance or anything like that now, any of the raw fabric. We're just going to finish it up with this step, and then we'll do the next step to make everything look good. So this, you want to, when you get to the second side, I guess the best way to do it is to turn it wrong side out. And then same step, you're going to line everything up and pin it. So the same deal, I'm going to sew down this, and then this first panel will be done, and I'm going to do the exact same thing with the second panel for the second side, the other side of the shorts. So I'll do that, and I'll do a little speed up so you guys can watch it, and then I'll show you the next step. So now, while we've still got this wrong side out, we're going to go ahead and cut off this extra seam allowance, the selvage fabric that's on each side. So now that we've got that step done, what I want to do is, since this right here seems really bulky and it's probably going to be uncomfortable if I don't do something about it, I'm going to take it and open it with my fingers. Pressing it I don't think is going to do any good anyway, but I'm going to use like a zigzag stitch and just go right over the middle of that seam, and I'm going to do it on all 4 pieces here, and I'll just do that right quick off of camera, and then I'll come back and show you guys how to make the band. So you can see I did that with all of the, losing my voice, did that with all 4 sides, and I like it. It doesn't look horrible. It gives it a kind of a grungy look, which if you're using fabrics like I am here, it's kind of what you're going for. Okay, so now we do want to try to press these seams open just to make them more comfortable. I'm not even going to try to like sew them down or anything because I just don't think that's going to work. So now we've got our hems pressed down as best as we can get them. You can maybe try to do a hand stitch, or you could do a stitch, but it gets really tricky with the machine. You can give it a try. I may even try it, I don't know, after I get this done. So, like I said, these were supposed to be short pants. I'm not sure if I gauged that quite right or not, but I'm going to try to make a band around the bottom here. And to do that, we need to figure out the measurements of this. You guys know how I am with measurements too, so I'm going to measure this and figure out what I need, plus about 1.5 inches. You don't really need much more than that. So I'm going to get that for both legs, and then I'm going to cut out a piece, and it depends on how long you want it. I don't want too big of a band, but now I've got 2 pieces cut out at about 4 inches, one for each leg. Now I'm going to go ahead and lay this out flat and even, and I'm going to get rid of this little extra piece. Just be very careful that you don't cut too much off. Alright, now what we want to do is we're not going to close these up and sew the circle on. That does cause problems. So we're going to start on the crotch seam, and we're going to take it to the machine with, we're going to do it right sides facing together. Anyway, I'll show you at the machine. So what we're going to do is turn right sides facing together. And we're going to start on this seam, and you want to overlap just a little bit. That's for the hem allowance. And you're going to start on the other side of this seam. See, this is about 1/4 inch, 1/3 inch. You want to start on the side of it sewing, but you want it to overlap. So we're going to remove our free arm. You want to stop at about 1/2 inch right here too. You do not want to sew all the way to the end of the fabric, because we need to close this. What we're going to do is turn the pants wrong side out. You want to go ahead and stitch up this seam right here and start from the bottom. It's just better that you start this from the bottom. I can't do this without my free arm attached, so I'm going to start from the bottom of the pants leg, and we're going to sew our way up to this hem right here. Or I'm going to do a zigzag stitch across the bottom raw edge of both pants legs. Done the zigzag stitch on the bottom of the legs, and I will say, I had somebody say the other day in one of my older videos where I did that for an armhole in a sundress, that she thought she was really snotty about it. Actually said she thought the raw edge would cause irritation. I don't think it would cause irritation any more than using her suggestion of bias tape and making an even thicker piece under a child's arm, because this was something for a child. The raw edge actually allows for smoother and less bulk. So, I mean, the zigzag edge, I like that better, and I've made it for my granddaughters before, and I've never had any of them get a rash or get irritated or bruised or anything like that from using raw edges on their clothes. So unless you're using thread made out of fiberglass or some crap like that, you're not going to get that problem. Okay, so now we have these edges here that are going to kind of cause a little bit of a problem if we don't maybe lay them down flat. And so this is going to be kind of tricky, because you're going to be working from the inside out. But what I'm going to do is basically the same thing I did up at the top edge here to finish off these, to lay these the top of the joined pieces flat. And what I'm going to do is set my machine on a loose zigzag stitch. So there you have it, a snazzy little pair of shorts with a nice accent. If you want to see this particular fabric, like I said, the link will be down in the description box below, and I'll also link you to the My Fabric Designs website. Really cool fabric, I love it. Can't wait to wear these. Not going to wear them on camera for you guys because I'm a hot mess today and just don't feel like it. But I know they're going to fit nice, and I can't wait to try them on. Maybe even have to make a top or something accented with this fabric so that I can have something that matches. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this little tutorial. Peace, y'all. Bye-bye.